Hey everyone, happy Monday. Hope you guys all had a beautiful, lovely, awesome weekend and are ready to kick off this new week with some super cool photography tips for hairstylists. All right, so I'm going to give it a minute to let everyone hop on and then we will dive in. I've got a lot of info I want to go over with you guys today, so we are going to be moving pretty quickly. So go ahead and grab a pen and a notebook so you can kind of jot notes as we're going. As always, let me know if you guys are watching this live or if you're watching it on the replay. That really helps me figure out exactly what times work best for you guys. And if you are watching this in the Six Figure Stylist group, I am sharing this to my YouTube channel as well. So if you're watching in the Facebook group, Facebook has certain permissions that my streaming platforms that allows me to stream on two platforms at once won't let me see your name unless you accept the permission in the description box above. And all that does is let my streaming service see your name so then I can see your name when you talk to me. So if you want to go ahead and accept that, that would be awesome so I can see who I'm talking to. Okay, guys, let's jump on in and go over these photography tips. So I've written out like 2 pages worth of information, but I think the best way to go ahead and break this down for you guys is talk about these 4 essentials that you need, and then we'll go back in and dive a little bit deeper into each essential on its own. So that way you can pick out exactly what area you are struggling with, or maybe it's all areas. And these are just totally going to turn your photos around like 180. Like your photos are going to be looking like these like Instagram, Pinterest worthy photos that all of your clients are bringing in. And I am so excited for you guys to see that. So the 4 essentials that you need to nail that perfect after photo. Your first one is going to be background. Second is lighting. Third is posing. And then 4th is editing. So we're going to go through each one of those in the order I just listed them. And if I start going too fast, like I said, we do have a lot of info I want to go over. So just let me know if you need me to explain something better or slow it down. So jumping right off with background. So your ideal background for taking photos of hair is going to be clean and not distracting. So I bet you guys already know what that means. That means no more taking photos in your chair with your dirty color balls in the background and everyone else's clients congregating around behind your client. It is just way too messy for anyone to actually be able to focus on your client, which is what you're actually trying to show. So your background first and foremost has to be clean and not distracting. Now I've got 3 tips on background for you guys that'll really help kick it into the next gear. So tip number 1 is going to be that neutral backgrounds are always best for showcasing your client. So that doesn't mean it just has to be straight black or white either, but just something that is either solid or just doesn't draw the eye away from your client. Do you know what I mean? So even if you want to get a backdrop that's like a really cool like brick wall pattern, that's totally fine. I have a pop-up backdrop that I got from Amazon. So one side is actually black and the other one is white. So I can pick and choose what I want to use based on the color that I've done. I typically use the black side just because I like how deep it is. But yes, a neutral background is always going to be best for showcasing your clients. Tip number 2, and this one can go into background or it can go into your editing section as well. So tip number 2 is going to be fill the frame with your client. So don't be zoomed really far out. So 90% of your photo is background and then your client is just a little tiny head in the middle. You want to immediately know what you're looking at when you go to that photo. So if your client's just kind of like standing like way far away, it's going to be like, wait, what am I trying to see here? So if you do take your photo really far away, don't sweat it after, because you can always handle that in your editing section and just crop that in. And there's some really great tools out there that actually have dimensions already set for you. So if you're trying to make the perfect square for Instagram, a lot of photo editing tools will have that 1x1 dimension. So you can just apply that and that will zoom in on your client for you. Tip number 3, have a go-to background in your salon. Now, this doesn't mean either that you have to have like a whole photography studio set up. Like, it would be really dope if you did, but you don't have to have that in your salon. This just means that you need to know where you're going to go at the end of your service, so you and your client aren't wandering around trying 80 different locations. So for me, I do have a little bit of, I mean, nowhere close to a full studio, but I have my backdrop and I have my ring light, and I know immediately what I need to do at the end of the service. My client gets out of my chair and steps in front of the backdrop. I close the door, grab my ring light, turn off the overhead lights, and we're ready for photos. So whether that is having a backdrop set up inside of your salon, or if there's a great spot outside that you have a really nice wall and can do some really awesome natural lighting photos, that's totally fine and totally up to like your personality and your vibe and what works best for you. But you just want to know where you're going to take your clients, so you don't have to really like struggle with that at the end of your service. Okay, so those are my tips for background. Do you guys have any questions about anything we've covered so far? Am I going way too fast? Let me know. Isn't my water thing hilarious? It's like as big as my head. Okay, so moving on to essential number 2, that's going to be your lighting. So this one is really hard for a lot of people, I think, because it's really not easy to find the best lighting without having some kind of studio setup. But good lighting gives you the best texture, vibrancy of color, and luminosity on your subject. So even if you have wonky lighting, it can totally throw off your color. Like if you just did an awesome like icy blonde and then you have the wrong kind of lighting in your salon, it's going to make that blonde look yellow, and it's going to be infuriating after you spent 4 hours trying to nail this Elsa blonde and it comes out yellow. Like, you're going to be mad. So lighting is totally important. So I have lighting tips for you as well. So tip number 1 on your lighting. So when you're taking your photo, you're going to want your light source. So if this is your client and this is you, you're going to want your light source to be here, shining directly on the front of your client. Does that make sense? Because if your lighting is coming from behind your client, then it's going to be shining directly into your lens, and your whole client's face is going to be in shadow. So you want to make sure that you have lighting in front of your client, so that's going to evenly illuminate their face or their hair or whatever you're going to try to show off in this photo. So that's super important is where your lighting is coming from. Also, you don't want your lighting to be above your client, because then that's going to make everything up top look super exposed and everything below be really shadowed. So that can definitely throw off the way a haircut looks or a color looks if you have the lighting in the wrong position as well. So I do highly recommend, if you can't use natural lighting, if you don't have any windows in your space, get a ring light or at least some soft boxes or something that you can kind of have control over, so you aren't just depending on your overhead lights, because those are never flattering for hair photos. Okay, tip number 2, your light source should be, I can't read my writing. Your light source should be diffused and even. So that means like with the ring light, it's obviously a big ring of even light all the way around. So that way it's not like, imagine shining like a flashlight on your client. And I've been in a tough spot before where I've tried to use a phone flashlight and do photos, and it's not pretty because it's just one harsh light shining directly on one spot of your client. It's not diffuse at all. So it throws off the color still. The same way having the overhead lights will throw it off. Like having one just like small light shining on a certain spot of the hair that isn't diffused is not going to be flattering for your photo. So I love the ring light because it is such a broad light source and it's even all the way around. So that way I can move it wherever I need to move it to, but I know it's going to be super flattering and cover my entire client. Does that make sense? Oh wait, I have a comment. So glad you're making this video. I'm with the client processing right now. I'll have to try this when I'm done. Do it. I can't see who you are because StreamYard won't let me unless you click on the little box, or you can just type your name if you don't want to accept their permission for whatever reason. Thanks. Glad they're helping. So tip number 3 for lighting is cool and neutral lights are going to be truer to color than warmer lights. And I know this is probably like a duh for all of us because we're hairstylists and we know the difference between cool, neutral, and warm tones. But just picture, I mean, anything really. But let's go back to the blonde example. If you put a cool tone light or a neutral light on that blonde, it's going to look flawless and exactly what you're seeing with your eye. But the second you throw like a yellow toned or even like an orange based light on that blonde, it's going to look totally, totally different. So keep that in mind when you're choosing, if you are choosing artificial light. The ring light that I have, has these plates that can go around it. And some of the plates are clear and some of the plates are orange. So I definitely always use the clear. I never want to throw the orange plates up there. I don't know why they gave them to me or why anyone would need that warmth of a light. But yeah, you always want to go for cooler or neutral toned lights. Stay away from the warm. Heather says, hi, so sad I couldn't make it today, but so glad to see your face on here. I'm glad to see you too. I almost choked myself because I got so excited. But yes, thank you so much. The class was awesome, and I was totally sad that you couldn't be there, but hopefully we'll be able to meet up soon. So moving right along into our third essential, it's going to be posing. So that's kind of the most awkward stage of getting photos, I think, because your clients feel awkward. They're not used to getting their photos done all the time. So they're kind of like, do I smile? Do I look at you? Do I put my Vogue? Like, what do I do? So the biggest thing that I always ask myself when I'm trying to figure out good poses for my client is, what am I trying to draw attention to? So think about that with, like, if you did a haircut that has a really cool, like, A-line to it, you're not going to want to take, I mean, you could totally take pictures from the front, it'll still look good. But if you really want to, I don't know if you guys can hear me while I'm turning my head all over, but if you really want to draw attention to that angle, think of that when you're deciding poses for your client. So instead of having them just facing you directly for that style, maybe have them come to the side and angle their head to really like accentuate the sharpness of that angle. If you did like a really dope money piece, where it's like the face frame highlights that come up and around, then you're definitely going to want to have some like frontal shots or maybe even slightly to the side. But if you have a sick money piece, you don't want to just take photos from the back because you're not going to be able to see it. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out what way to position your guests. What are you trying to draw attention to? What do you want this photo to show off? So our tips for posing, again, I have 3. You are going to want to pose for the best aspects of their hair. So kind of what I just went over with you, whatever you really feel like makes that hair look just bomb, that's what you're going to want to show off. Like if they have a ton of just really long flowing layers through the backs of their hair, or if you just did like a full head of extensions, like a full installation on them, then you would want to take some photos from the back. So you're really drawing attention to the best aspect of their hair. Tip number 2. Oh, this is my favorite one ever. Show clients examples of poses you're going for. This one, when I like so dove deep like a year ago into photography and watched all these YouTube videos and read all these blogs and books and everything. And this one was like to me, because I know you guys have seen that shot where the girls are like on Pinterest or Instagram or whatever, and they have their long flowing balayage going and their hands are up and it's just beautiful. It's a lot easier if you're trying to recreate that to pull up one of those shots and just show it to your client and be like, this is kind of the pose that I'm going for. So now if I can position your arms this way, they'll have an idea of what you're trying to get them to do, and it will make the whole thing So much easier, I swear. And then number 3 is whenever you show someone's face in a photo, statistically speaking, it's going to perform better. So I'm totally one of those stylists that's like, it doesn't matter how many Instagram likes you have, but we all like the Instagram likes, right? I mean, they're nice. I like them. But so I actually read this one on, I want to say it was like a psychology blog or it was like marketing and psychology put together. So in ads, when businesses, not just hairstylists, any ads that have someone's face in it, people immediately feel more drawn to. They feel more trust in that company because they feel like they're relating to a real person. And therefore those marketing campaigns perform better than images of just other things. Like if you're trying to sell an apple and you just show a picture of an apple compared to a picture of a smiling, laughing girl holding an apple, like the smiling face girl that you can have a human connection with is going to perform better. So same thing when we're taking our Instagram photos. So like we were talking about before, if you're showing off something in the back of the head, totally do that. Like, don't feel like you have to get a face in every single photo. But when I'm looking at my Instagram and I'm scrolling down, I like to make sure I can see someone's face kind of just scattered throughout. So I know you guys have seen those pages where it's just like the backs of people's head over and over and over and over. And I feel like it looks like mug shots, like hair mug shots, like a lineup at a jail. So mix it up a little bit, get some faces in there. You'll see more engagement, which will also lead to bringing in more clients. And more clients means more money for you. So try to just get some more faces in there so people can really develop a human connection with your page and with your photos. Is everything still making sense so far? I feel like I've been talking like 100 miles an hour. Heather says, I've been working really hard to get more face shots. Tips for making the client feel more comfortable with face shots? I get asked a lot to keep the faces out. So if someone asks me to keep their face out, I definitely will. See if they're comfortable though, even if they aren't looking directly at the camera. One of my favorites is I'll pull the hair all the way around and then I'll have them look down, just like angle their chin down slightly. So then you're still seeing some face, but I don't think they feel as awkward as like looking at you and smiling. And that honestly looks a little bit cheesy to me too, if you can tell that the client is uncomfortable and they're just like seeing your pictures, like smiling. So maybe even just try to get their eyes directed away from the camera. If they just totally don't want their face like looking at you at all, you can always do one from the side where you can still see a little bit of their what is it called? Their portrait? Is that what I'm trying to say? Their profile. Where you can still see like the side profile of their face. You can even do like with their chin kind of tilting in, so you get a lot of face still in the photo, but it doesn't feel as awkward or as cringy to them as just staring directly like into your phone. Does that make sense? We're gonna roll right along. I assume you're typing to me. Okay, so our fourth essential. I actually have added this one in recently because I realize how important this truly is. This one is going to be editing. So I did put out a photography for hairstylists course with a workbook and everything probably about a year ago. And since then, I wanted to come on live and do this updated version because editing wasn't part of my essentials then. But editing should 100% be part of your essentials. Because think of it this way, if you have a photographer come do photos at your wedding and they send you the shots back and your shots aren't edited, you're going to be mad. Like, not even a little mad, you're going to be like pissed. Like, that's part of what goes into photography, is not just taking the photo, it's doing what you need to do to make that photo look professional. Someone's knocking on my door. I'm just going to ignore it. Maybe it's Amazon. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, edit your photos. Now, by no means, I mean, I am not saying to alter the hair in your photos, because that's totally taking it to like the whole other side. Like at that point, you're not just editing to try to make your photos look crisper and cleaner. That's false advertising, and you're lying. I've had it done to me before. I've had a stylist do my hair and then edit my hair photos after, and that feels just so insulting from like all parties. Like the stylist in me was like, what? And then the client in me was like, oh, did she not like what she did to my hair? Like obviously she didn't, because she edited it. I don't feel like anyone in here, I think everyone knows not to edit their photos, not to edit the hair in their photos. But if you are one of those people, don't alter the hair in your photos. It's not right. It's lies. So what I'm talking about with editing is your background. Deepen or blur out your background so that keeps all of the focus on your subject. If your girl, Heather, going back to Heather's question here, I'm going to pop this back up. I think one of the reasons my clients don't mind when I do face shots is because they know I'm going to enhance their face. So even if they're looking directly at me and they come in with no makeup and they feel a little self-conscious about how they look, I'm going to smooth out their skin. I'm going to enhance their eyelashes and eyebrows, and I'm going to, like, if they have a zit on their face, I'm going to blend it out for them. And I think that's like a huge thing that my clients know. If Kate takes a bad photo of me, she's not going to post it looking bad. Like the hair is going to look awesome because it's awesome when I'm done with it. But if my client came in like in a t-shirt and no makeup on, which is how I always go get my hair done, I'm not going to make them look like they came in looking like a homeless person in that photo. Does that make sense? So little tweaks. So the biggest ones that I do, it just takes me about 10 minutes to get through, and I have actually created a tutorial on photo editing for you guys. So let me see if I can get this screen shared. Okay, cool. So this is my new photo editing tutorial. It's right down here, this bottom right hand, and it's called photo editing tutorial because naming things is not my strong suit. So photo editing tutorial, it is super, super cheap. It's $3. I had to charge just enough to cover the cost of it being hosted and being able to send it to you guys. But it's a super, like, I actually walk you through one of my posts from like, I've just finished taking this photo. So this is all the steps we're going to do before I post it. And I show you what platform I use to do my editing on and just everything you absolutely need to know about photo editing. So it's a really cool resource for you guys. If you need some extra help, I definitely recommend it. So those are my things. It took us about 20 minutes, even with me talking 100 miles an hour. So let me know if you guys have questions. I'm going to hang out for a second and then go see who was knocking at my door a second ago. Oh, one other thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, I was supposed to say this at the beginning. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm hosting this on YouTube, of course, and in my Six Figure Stylist Facebook group, which is a business building Facebook group just for hairstylists. So if you're watching this on YouTube and want to join that group, I will post that link in the description box below. So check that out. Heather, thank you. You're amazing. I can't wait to see you. Are you going to the Atlanta class, the Pulp Riot Atlanta class? I'll message you about it and figure it out because I'm about to get off here and go see who was knocking at my door. All right, guys, if you watch this on replay, let me know. Let me know what you think. If these helped, let me know. If they didn't help, you can tell me I suck. It'll be okay. I won't be mad at you. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, again, if you have any ideas for our lives, I'm doing a live every Monday. So if there's anything you want to go over, shoot me a message for that as well. And if not, I'll come up with something on my own, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.